I was just wondering if you were going to send a set of the slides as well.
Yes, I can definitely send the set of the slides for sure. And now we're recording. I'm recording off of Zoom, but just so everyone knows. Amazing. All right, we're good. So we'll start the recording from here, and I'll send it out. Cool. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, so and a story can go hand in hand with writing, or it can stand alone. You don't have to rely on your artist statement for this, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You might have a narrative story where it's starting like beginning, middle, end. Maybe you do it through one photo, maybe you do it through a series, or you have an abstract or symbolic story. And that's like a thought, a feeling. Maybe you're talking about an experience, and you're not quite sure how to show it, but you're going to try to get at least the impression of it onto pictures. So as an example of that, these are two photos I've shot where the main motif or object is a cloud. One I call head in the clouds, and it's more of like a literal play on that turn of phrase. And to me, that is more about like a mental fog. Maybe you took too much cold medicine or something, or not enough, and you're not thinking clearly, right? And it's more about that. I chose here to like have the red jacket because it's popping against the background. I also use like a Lens Baby lens. So Lens Baby intentionally kind of morphs the glass, and so there's a little bit of a spiral in the background. So again, we're kind of feeling lost or dizzy or confused. Whereas the second photo, to me, that couch, while it's not like a traditional therapy couch, to me, I don't know why, but when I looked at that scene, I was like, this reminds me of a therapist's office. So I took that photo and I added the cloud in later. And so the clouds are both there, and they're both kind of talking about maybe your mental state, maybe how you're feeling, but in very different ways. One I think is a little bit more, maybe like you're thinking have a rainy day, it's a storm cloud hanging over you, and the other one is again more about like just feeling a little lost or confused. So where do you pull your inspiration from is a big thing. If you guys want to put stuff in the chat, like what kind of inspires you. And this doesn't have to be, we don't have to like think deep here, but it's anything that you like, right? Do you really like roses? Do you really like your, windows or something, or the tiles of your neighbor's house, right? So like if there's things that you get inspired by, favorite movies, go ahead, like put them in the chat if they mean something to you. Because I think kind of leaning on what we are naturally attracted to is a good way to kind of figure out what we're thinking about and what we're trying to say. Like I think those things that we're naturally inclined to include in our stories, in our pictures, they're saying something, whether we know what it is or it's subconscious. You also want to think about what you want people to walk away with your photos from. Is there a certain feeling? Is there maybe a call to action that you want from your photo? Maybe like all the animal ads with the Sarah McLachlan song. We're all trying to like adopt a puppy, right? So there's your photo. Want there to be a call of action? Are you trying to challenge your audience, confuse? And think about what iconography keeps coming back to you and what you can include in your photos to enhance the message that you're trying to say. I also think take the part of photography that you most enjoy and make sure that you're including it in your process, right? So I know for me, I prefer to shoot and do everything in front of the camera. And if I have to edit, I'd really rather it just be for color or anything. I do composites on the computer as well, like through Photoshop. But I just get bored a lot quicker when I'm editing on a computer than when I'm taking the picture. So if there's things that you like about the process, try to include them in your process more, right? Don't think you have to rely on one over the other. There isn't like one that's better than another. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying what you prefer and kind of think about that. All right, so then what would your photo subject be? Is it literal or symbolic? Typically, you're either going to know the physical what, or you know the theme of your photo. or maybe both. But sometimes you're going to have that picture pop in your head and you're going to try to create that image. Or maybe you're just going to have an object that you want to take a picture of. You're attracted to it. You think it's cool. Maybe you think it's creepy, etc. And you want to try to build a photo around that. That's awesome. You can definitely reverse engineer the concept if you just want to take a photo that you think looks cool. The opposite can happen where maybe you have a concept that you want to explore, but you're not sure how to convey it, right? So concepts like grief, concepts like happiness, right? Concepts like immortality, right? Impermanence. I don't know, things like that. They're an idea, they're a thought we can try to put into a picture. So that's where the brainstorming comes in. We want to hone our message and just get rid of anything that's unnecessary. Make sure that you're really relying on your own experience and understanding. It's not to say you couldn't take inspiration from someone else, but just be mindful of what you choose are appropriate boundaries to cross or draw inspiration from. But keep in mind, all artists steal from each other, so don't panic too much about that side of it. But just keep in mind, if you're I was raised Catholic, so it'd be very hard for me to try to do an image that talked about the concepts of Hinduism because I haven't studied that, right? So just making sure to keep that kind of level of authenticity there. But maybe if you did have an experience with someone of the Hindu faith or Hinduism, then you could take that photo. That's all I want. And of course, you're going to choose how much of yourself you want to share. We don't have to be super personal in our conceptual work unless you want to be. And so some of these images, again, I'm just for illustrative purposes, this first one with the red background, this was an example of the photo came first, and then I journaled and figured out why I took the photo after the fact. I've titled it St. Catherine, so St. Catherine of Siena. Basically, is anyone squeamish if I start talking about blood or anything? Okay, great. So yeah, if anyone is, just tell me now and I'll stop. But so St. Catherine of Siena, I found a story about her where apparently when she would break her fast, sometimes she would feel sick and start to go, puke, and she would sometimes puke up blood because she was doing it so intensely. So it sounds like she might have had an eating disorder, but I don't know. But I was drawn to that, again, one from my background, but two, there are other elements in this picture. I was just trying to play with how I could get the water to move in the image. I wanted to test a few different things, like pouring with a cup, spitting it out of my mouth, dropping it different ways, mixing it with glycerin to see how I could get it to stick, etc. So what I was doing was just trying to experiment, and I was setting up some backgrounds and some lights that I hadn't used before. And when this image came out, the costume that I had, the shroud, the bowl that kind of feels a little bit ornamental, right? Maybe it's the basin the priests wash their hands with. And again, the background where there's the ornate stylings, but then the glow is a bit of a halo, and it's highlighting the figure. To me, those kind of harken back to old portraits of saints, either from the Renaissance period, and especially with the contrasting light. It's not quite Rembrandt or Chiaroscuro, but it is more of a higher contrast than other images. So this is an example of I shot first and then I figured it out later, hey, there's something here, and now I have ideas for other pictures to do about saints and some questionable stories that they have. Then this next two, again, I'm using skull as a main theme motif. I think they're both kind of contrasting a life cycle, life and death. The middle one, the butterfly is typically used as a symbol of life, change, growth, metamorphosis. And then the skull kind of represents the end of that, right? The finality. You're only going to grow and change so many times because we're all living in the same life cycle. I promise we'll get a little bit more upbeat after this. And then last one again too, like that was, again, we're playing with the shroud. It's a, clothing kind of ornamental of the dead, etc. This was really me playing with lights, but then I wanted to just bring in some elements. And I think we have some interesting images. And again, the concept kind of came after the fact, which is totally fine. Boop. All right. So now we're going to take about 5 minutes, and we're going to do a stream of conscious writing exercise. If you're drawing a blank, feel free to use an idea generator. If you go to, I don't know how everyone feels about AI, but ChatGPT, you could totally ask them, hey, give me like an idea for a stream of conscious writing. Or if you have a dictionary, I have a specific dictionary, the Dictionary of Symbols, and I can open to a page and it's going to give me a bunch of different cultural, historical context for an object. So like if I opened up to bell, it would tell me all the different types of bells, how bells are used, how bells have been used as symbols, etc. So feel free to like get an idea generator, but we're going to take 5 minutes and just do some stream of conscious writing. There's no pressure to share afterwards, but I will ask you if you want to share. And then I'm also going to use some of my stream of conscious writing that's a little bit more related to the props I have, so that when we go to make our photo together, it'll be a little bit more related to that. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes on my phone. All right, everyone ready? Everyone got like something to type in? You can type in the chat, or you can type on your computer, or if you got pen and paper. Right? That's what I like to do. So we're all good? Everyone good to go? Because I'm starting. Ready? And boop. Okay. Perfect. Okay. We had about like a 2-minute warning. If your stream is kind of running out, if you want to start the next part where you're looking at words that are popping off, and trying to think about related symbols, right? Like if I have time and cycle on my list, so I might start thinking about symbols that relate to that. So maybe like a watch, a clock, a track, like a train track is a cycle. I don't know. Maybe that's how my brain's working. So if you want to start on the next part, you can do that. Like think about how to take some of the more abstract stuff from your stream of conscious and find symbols for it. Okay, so 5 minutes are up. Does anyone want to share some of the stuff that they were streaming about? Anything that came off their list?
Mine's pretty dumb, but I
No,
just
it's
did
not.
mine with bird photography.
Uh-huh.
And it just says it could be both challenging and rewarding, which I agree. I just talked about, because I just did it on the, because you know me, I've been enjoying that chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really gave me a lot of great information that I didn't even think about. And then in regards to the symbol, also gave me lots of things that I didn't even think about, like bird, footprints, feather. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but kind of opens up my mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is why it's helpful to like get those generators or even just start to journal and try to force yourself to look at things differently, right? So you can then think about how to just change it up a little, see if it's like exciting another part of you or, you know, jolting, like something like you said, oh, why did I never think about that? Well, you know, that's okay. I think, you know, you're always, this is why we do it, right? I don't know. That's all. But I think that's all great stuff. So are you thinking about, did you start thinking about how you could bring some of those new icons into your bird photography? Like how you would just focus on feathers or footprints or something?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I'm getting some help from a new mentor on that, but yeah, it's because I always go about things like the technical, like remember this, remember that, but I don't look at the artistic art. So I'm trying to really open my mind and really look at all values.
Awesome. Cool.
And you've been really helping me with that too, from just working with you
Okay.
for the last few months. So it's all been real helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Awesome. Okay, and do you mind if I read your poem? Or should you want us to just go for it? All right. All right, so Anne said she used a photo and wrote a poem. The boat could not hold steady. Were we going to flip? Our small fishing boat was but an inconsequential blip. The force of the water tossed us up again. We thumped into the throw as we shouted in pain. The trow as we shouted in pain. I wondered if the Fame would take the strain. I reached frantically with both hands for the side gunwale, but I was too late as the wave had formed a tunnel. A furious volume intent on throwing us up once more. Where were we now? Had we reached the shore? This surely would be an adventurous tale of lore. When I woke up. Oh, that's fun. So it was all a bad dream. Awesome. Yeah, I think, so if you had to, so you took a photo, and then you made a poem, would you try anything to like bring it back to a picture, like create a photograph based off of the poem, or like a second scene of this? Maybe.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a famous Japanese painting, and there are actually, I had never noticed before, but two boats in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to see here, but I just wanted to show you what my inspiration was. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. Yeah. I like taking these moments to kind of break down some other ideas that you have, right? Or even just like what you're thinking about. You know, the way like we all have our own unique kind of net of creative inspiration based on our experiences and what we look at, what we see. Like we're uniquely going to synthesize everything that we've experienced and everything that we've consumed, and that's like, even if we've all seen this painting before, we're all going to kind of interpret it and bring something unique to it. So I'd love to see like if you did a different rendition or like a continuation of the scene through a photo. I think that'd be cool to see, especially since like this poem is a new play on it where it's just a dream.
Yeah. No, good idea. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So, and then I gave myself a little bit of a limitation, so I gathered some of my decor and I have the props to try to make the picture later. So I was looking at those and kind of thinking about, okay, what do I have? What does this remind me of? So I was thinking about like time and cycles and kind of containers and what they can hold. They can hold knowledge, they can hold valuables, they can hold resources. And sort of playing around with that, like what are resources we find valuable, what are things we find valuable, what can we hold on to, what's going to like slip through our fingers at some point. And you know, I think for some of these, like looking at time, some obvious symbols are like clocks. Then I was thinking also tree rings to measure time. Containers, like I do think a skull is a container. It does contain a big brainy thing. And sometimes it can, you know, we say in our head, like we contain a lot of other thoughts and emotions. So I think that's a little bit of a container, but so is a frame. And a frame is also, like having a frame in a photo, I think is talking about like a bounding box or maybe trying to focus up a point of view. And yeah, other things like that. So that's what I was more going. That's how my stream of conscious kind of went. I would just word after word after word, and eventually it devolved into other things. But awesome. Great. So thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate that. We are going to move on. Speaking of limitations, sometimes that's helpful. And just to say, like, decision overload is real. So if you're feeling blocked or not sure where to start, try something different. Like give yourself a challenge. Like maybe you can only shoot a picture with 200 ISO or 200 shutter speed, etc. Or maybe you just want to try something different. Again, like what Lisa was saying, you know, she went and got that, you know, the example of like you getting that image generator idea and thinking about, oh, there are other things that symbolize a bird or call back to a bird, like the feathers and feet. Or, you know, talking about using the poems, etc. If that's new for you or different, maybe that'll kind of revamp how you're approaching your images. So then if you kind of go through this brainstorm process, you're going to make a plan. You're going to think about what props you need for your photo, what should be props versus maybe just stock images or textures that you can purchase and use in your work. You know, what equipment do you have already that you can work with? If you don't have photo lights, like do you have lamps? Do you have flashlights? Do you have a big window? And thinking about how you're going to edit the photo, and again, like how you're going to enjoy the process. So keeping all this in mind, like if you really hate using Photoshop, or maybe you really hate like setting up lights in your studio, and so you'd rather do all the all the highlighting and everything on the computer, think about how to make the process a little bit more enjoyable. Yeah, and Lisa's saying a lot of her limitations are physical. So how can she make sure that she's taking care of herself while she's taking a photo? That's really important. Yeah, through the heat and the 2 new replacements. Yeah, so that's like a whole other thing. You know, I know there's a photographer, Brooke Shaden. You can follow her on Instagram, but she talks about how she switched her whole camera setup. She went to Sony and hasn't gone back because Sony started making lighter camera bodies first, and she has fibromyalgia, so sometimes like just holding a lot of work, or like she also, you know, it hurts her joints, or like she physically, like her muscles want to attack her. So yeah, so like those limitations too are important, but you can always make your process fit into those. Okay, so we're gonna switch, and you guys can still hear me, right? Cool, no one's saying no. So I'm going to keep talking until someone says they can't hear me. But we're going to make a switch to this. And I just thought it'd be fun to kind of play around with some of these props and try to get together a still life. So I'm actually going to get up and move a little closer to the camera. So see, hi, it's live. So if you guys want, what I thought we could do is call out, like you guys can call out what you think some of the props mean to you. We can decide like what we can put together in the scene to kind of make a still life that's a little bit symbolic. We can change the color of the light a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. So there are options for that too. Color, I think, this is a very easy way to kind of start getting an emotional reaction from your audience. So we can do that. Yeah, I think this is just more about fun, and I feel like this is going to be a photo by committee, but I think it could be really cool and just a little bit of an artistic exercise. So I have some different, we're going to zoom in. We have some different props here.
Oh, I love that glass.
Yeah.
Is that skeleton hand?
Yes. So this is,
I like that.
again, I am one of those people that decorates for Halloween year round. So this is one of like the skeleton hands wrapped around the glass.
I like it.
Thank you. We don't have to use everything. But I have different stuff here that if we wanted to try, like if we did want to use the glass, I just have some red dyed water. But we could always use something different.
Is that a pearl choker or something?
Yes. So then I was thinking, oh, like what else could I bring in? There's these still lives, like the old.
Could we drape that as a headband over the skull?
Okay, let's go for it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Well, that might be how it works.
Maybe doubled up.
Yeah. I could, let's see.
Even if it covers the eyes.
Okay. Let's do it. I'm trying to hook it on the last one so it's bigger. There we go. All right. So here, I'm also going to lower my tripod a bit. Hopefully no one gets motion sick. Whee! All right, so I'm going to lower this and then raise it up a little bit. There we go. All right, I like that suggestion. Very cool. So then I also have a fake heart vase. I don't know what this is, but I think it's either a candy dish or it's a very tiny, stylish urn, which we can use in there. I was also brought this in, again, more of like, I think more to just bring some more geometry and shape into the image. I do kind of like the reflections we're getting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So we can bring this back. So again, we don't have to use everything. We can start piecing it around. I like the pearls on the skull. To me, I brought in the pearls because I was thinking maybe that's a symbol of opulence. Maybe that's a symbol of like physical wealth or something that we value. And I was trying to think like what that might mean in the photo with these other props.
Could we face the clock towards the mirror?
Okay.
And have it juxtaposed to the reflection of the skull?
Yeah.
Kind of in the bottom right or something? I don't know. Maybe it's too big. Oh, it's huge. Okay.
Yeah, it's very fun. Well, let's see.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not going to work.
All right, it's not. I could also, I mean, I don't hate this. And I think that's a cool idea to try to get just the reflection.
It's very faint from here.
Let me, yeah, I think the reflection is faint, but we're still getting it. I am gonna just try to move the light, so maybe I get that square highlight off the, what do we think about that highlight? Should I try to move the light to get that off of the reflection?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try raising the light first. I know you can't quite see it. Now, how are we?
I like that effect on the skull and the pearls, but the reflection just kind of went away, which is fine as well, but.
Right, okay, so we still have it in the scene. Now let's.
Maybe you can get that reflection like right over the, or it's like right over the 12, but maybe bring it down just a tiny bit so it's on the 12. Yeah, because I like that better.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, all right, and then if we're strategically placing it, maybe that does make more sense. I can always try later, like maybe raising the light higher too. So maybe we're still getting like the light on those surfaces, but again, trying to get that reflection a little clearer.
Because I kind of like all the little white lights on the individual pearls. I think that looks nice.
Yeah, that highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Okay. I am going to try on this camera angle a bit too to see if that affects anything, like how the camera is getting there. Okay, so what are you thinking, what are some of the thoughts or reactions you guys are having to these props? Like in this image so far, what are we feeling like the takeaway is?
Now I'm thinking that clock really
Can't really see it.
it's blocking the reflection. I can't figure out if the photo is looking at the skull straight on or if the photo is actually the reflection that we're seeing in the mirror. I can't decide in my mind which is which is what I like better. I don't know.
Okay. Well, what if we tried
I really like the skull with the pearls and the light glistening off it, so I don't know. Oh,
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. I guess we could try to frame it as a vertical shot if this wasn't, if I didn't have my limitations of how everything's set up right now. But the vertical might, as a different crop, let me see, do I have? Yeah, so like, if it was cropped vertical, I think this might be a little bit more of looking at the skull, but also having the reflection of time, kind of just like the impression.
yeah,
Of
that looks
time.
really good.
So I might, like, later in post, I might try to crop that vertical. That's interesting. Yeah. So I think, what do you guys feel like the clock is in there? I see it as a symbol of time and potentially like time passing. What do you guys think about the relationship between these objects?
Much time left.
Sorry, what do you think about like the relationship between these objects in the picture? What do you think they're saying when they're put together versus having them all out or having them separate?
To me, it's like not much time left, or time is short.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm seeing clock and a skull.
Okay.
That's just
Yeah, and you can't take it with you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think definitely all of those have different. Ooh, sorry, I'm just playing around now. That just looks funky.
It's a very interesting thing to have, a sculpture of a heart.
I know it's a little.
It's kind of cool.
Ooh, it's good. Don't worry. But it's a little vase, so you can put like little flowers inside. But yeah, but I saw it and I was like, oh, this is definitely a good prop for a photo. Which is a lot of my buying decisions. So I do think, yeah, I agree. I think I'm also getting all those, I'm having all those thoughts and reactions, like, and also having the pearls over the eyes of the skull is making me think, like, what does that mean? Because I'm blinded, right? Or the subject's blinded, this person's blinded. And are they blinded by wealth, or are they blinded by their ties to life, like things that can't go with them past death?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think that's also like it's interesting to have them in that position as well for those reasons. I'm experimenting with putting something between them because I felt like on a design side, the negative space right in the center of the reflection. I don't know how I feel about that, but
maybe the glass filled with the red dyed water.
maybe we could try this.
Oh, with that creepy hand. Oh, now you can't see it as well, but yeah.
With or without the water? What do we think?
With.
With? Okay. One with, one without. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So,
And then once it's cropped, I think it's going to look great.
all right. All right. So let's
Can you illuminate the red water anyway?
try it. I think what we would do is I'm gonna add in another light, like a little spotlight that I might have. Sorry, I'm just trying to
I like it.
get my angle right. I'm trying to get more, since I know I'm gonna crop in, I'm gonna try to my ISO is pretty low, so I should be able to crop in a bit without like losing that definition. I am just gonna take this photo just to take it And this should all be a preview. Hold on, we might be coming back. Okay. Yeah, so this is the photo taken. It's still showing the settings, but this is the photo taken. So it's pretty much as is in camera. It's just switching back. There we go. Now we're live again. So I'm gonna try, I am gonna try raising the light just to see if it, what is that? Okay, I think it's even, the reflection on the clock looks like it's even further up now. Do we think that changes the light that we liked too much on the skull?
Yeah, I mean, do you have like a second light or like a speed light that you could put on just the red glass?
Yeah, no, definitely. Are we okay? Ooh.
Oh, green.
And again, that is also too like a question, if we want to change the background light from blue, we could also try that. All right, so we'll do this. So I could have this, I don't know if that changes the reflection too much. I could go to white, we could try white.
Can you go to red, back to the red on the front of it? Quite low down, so sort of almost looking up into the skull. You had it there for a second.
Like this?
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Okay.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
You can make it more intense. Oh, I lost you again. I've got Lisa.
All I can see is Anne.
All I can see is the dog.
Oh no.
Gretel.
I can see everything, so you guys can't
Okay,
see
there we
me?
go.
Am I back? We all good?
Yeah,
Okay. Fantastic.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I like it too. I think like having that little accent in the front, and it's a good contrast to the blue. I am maybe gonna try to just, I'm trying to like, I have a white, I need my reflector, hold on. I'm gonna try to bounce some light back into the scene. Woo. What do we think? Is that helping the shadow? It's not really grabbing any of the shadows, and then that's just in the way. Okay. Well, yeah, the only thing I would change is really maybe that lighting in the corner and trying to get a little bit, maybe I have another light or something I could fill in just to bring up the oh, whatchamacallit, a little bit, the
Reflection.
yeah, I know the shadows, I think, around here, just to bring it in a little bit.
The contrast?
Yeah, I think it's just a little so dark in there that I want to make sure I had room to play with it. Now let's see, is this battery in?
Ooh.
You know, like just adding a little bit. I just want to add a little bit, but we'll.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
We'll bring it down. And then again, if we're going to crop this vertical, we're okay. All right.
Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. Cool. All right, so we're coming up on 12. Is there anything else you guys want to try to experiment with or try to change or other suggestions?
Looks pretty cool to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just basically take it into Photoshop and just, do a couple things, but that's me.
Okay.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun photo.
Okay. Cool. If you guys want, I'll send you the raw file of this. So if you guys wanted to play with editing it yourselves and like seeing what you could do in Photoshop, since we all took this together, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. I'd love that.
Sweet. I'll just take a few more. I'll just take one with this. Try to get this out of the scene. All right. Coo. Okay, I'm going to switch back and we'll say our farewells. Okay.
That was good fun.
Good. Yeah, I thought it'd be fun. All right. So wrap up what to do next. So did you guys? How did you feel about this? Was it? Glad it was good fun. Did you guys feel like this was helpful or like interesting? Was this something new that you learned? Was it a good reminder of things you already knew?
All of the above for me.
Okay. Nice.
Because, like I said, I'm not artistic in any way, so it just gives me food for thought.
Okay.
And willing to try. That's why I always liked your contests in the past, because it always kind of pushed me out of my box to try something different.
Nice. All right. Good. I'm glad. And I think you are artistic. Artistic. Good. I'm glad you liked it, Michael. We'll follow up in an email with recordings and everything.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. If you guys want, join the Facebook group, Imperfect Photography. I'm going to try to do monthly classes. They've been about every other month this year. There'll be more in the Facebook group. And if you want to keep learning, we're going to start adding more courses to learn.bhaggerty.com. There's one right now up there that it's just basics of photography, so going through like exposure triangle and talking a little bit more about that. But you're welcome to take this code and use it for your purchase. I think like it's $32.99 is the full price, so half of that. But yeah, and anything else, my email is bridget@bhaggerty.com. And follow me on Insta if you want to get in touch, like please feel free. And that's about it. So I'm glad you guys had fun. If you have any feedback for me, I'm happy to hear it too. Thank you, Anne. It was nice to meet you. Thank you, Michael. All right. Bye, Lisa.
Bye. Talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you. Take care.